You know, it's a double-edged sword, if I'm honest with you, because I think there's some people who go, "Oh, wow, you sound just like my favorite band," or you can hear the influences of the Beatles or ELO or something like that, and they see that as a good thing. Of course, there's other people out there who go, "Oh, you sound just like my favorite band." I don't like that. I only want the original.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang right here on Almost Famous Magazine. I'm super excited about tonight's episode. As a matter of fact, I'm so excited that I'm going to go ahead and pour a glass of wine. Please get yourself something to drink. Spencer over there, who you've seen before, has a nice pint. Cheers to you, Spencer, for coming back to the Hang.
Cheers, Scott.
Because this
Good
is
to be here in the Hang.
Oh, look, James has something as well. We are going back to the beginning tonight, to the 286, which was our first real, I think, podcast episode that we did here on Almost Famous Magazine. So I'm super excited to see you guys. It's been a while.
It's really good to see you, Scott. It's been a long time, right? I mean, the first one we did was quite a couple of years ago. You'll probably be better to remember exactly when it was, but yeah, it was a good couple of years ago. I seem to remember.
Yeah, it was. I think it was.
Thank you for having us back.
23. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. We'll talk about it a little later, but you know, we're a third of a world away, but we're not that far away from each other, and we'll tell some stories about that coming up. So everybody, thanks for coming back and joining us. Let's see if I can make it through this glass during the entire episode. I still have the rest of the bottle, so you never know what's going to happen here. But we thank you so much. You've been following us along. You've been subscribing and hitting the bell and all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube, which we all appreciate. But I really want to spend some time catching up with Spencer and getting to know what's been up with the 286, because it is almost 2 years since we chatted. So Spencer, let's go back in the 2-year time machine. And what do you guys have been up to with the 286? And you know, what are some of the exciting things that have been happening before we kind of dive into having some fun?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to think back when that would have been. So I think when you last saw us, that was before we've since then, Scott, we've changed drummers. So our last drummer, when you would have seen us, a guy called Will was with us for many years. And he's decided to go different ways. We've known Will for many years. He goes with our blessings. James known him since the age of 2 or something daft like that. He's known him since school. And we've got a new drummer called Tom now, and Tom's great. And he's taken to the music like a duck to water. So that's the first thing. So that's the main sort of key lineup change in that sense. And then on top of that, we've been busy releasing more music. I think the last time we saw you, we've released at least one CD, and been releasing countless songs on Spotify and Apple Music and all those streaming sites. And I know this is well into the year now, but we even released a Christmas song in the end of 2024, which was fun as well.
Wow, you have been up now. You've said something. I've got to, let's just say hypothetically, things don't work out with Tom. I'm noticing that you are going with drummers that only have first names of 3 letters. Is that a requirement to be in the 286?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's literally in the contract.
You know what drummers like? They're very monosyllabic, one syllable at a time, Scott.
Well, if you're watching and you're a drummer named Joe, that, could happen at some point.
We could do it, yeah. Bob would be a good one.
Bob, Tim.
Ben.
Oh, there you go. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of potential just in case things don't work out, because this is a great band that you've got to listen to. I gotta start by asking, how has the one of your biggest influences, Electric Light Orchestra, said farewell last year. It was huge. Yes. It was huge there. It was huge here. You're obviously, from our prior conversation, your influences are, ELO, the Beatles are really big influences. Did that impact people finding the 286? Was there, because of the similarities in music, did you find fans of ELO migrating over going, wait a minute, I have something new and different, but it feels the same and it's good to listen to?
It's a double-edged sword, if I'm honest with you, because I think there's some people who go, oh, wow, you sound just like my favourite band, or you can hear the influences of the Beatles or ELO or something like that, and they see that as a good thing. Of course, there's other people out there who go, oh, you sound just like my favourite band. I don't like that. I only want the original. So, you can't help what you sound like because that's what you are, right? You can't really change. I'm not going to try to, we don't try to sound like them, or we don't try to sort of recreate their sound. In reality, we sound a lot like them because, I like the music of Jeff Lynne. I like the music of the Beatles and other bands. And it just comes out that way when it comes down to it. I suppose I don't really try to sound like it. But at the same time, no one tries to sound like anyone. I certainly don't. But at the same time, we get amazing compliments from people who, either grew up with ELO or love the music of ELO, love the music of the Beatles. And they go, oh, it sounds like music that you never get in the charts right now in pop music or something, So to them, it feels like almost like home. Do you know what I mean? It's music that they've loved and they're familiar with, and they really love it. So we get some amazing comments from people on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. And it's really rewarding for us, actually. It's just a lovely thing because it's not just London, people from London where we are from. It's people from all around the world. We can talk to people from the US or from, Italy or Argentina. It's really rewarding to be able to reach out to people all around the world.
Oh yeah, no, you've absolutely. I mean, you guys are doing great with your social media, and in a little bit, I want to talk about some of those fans because it's during the last 6 months. You guys have really taken the world by storm from the sense of people popping up in remote places around the world going, I'm a fan of the 286. But we're gonna leave everybody hanging on that. James, now you've been with the band for a while. We certainly know Spencer's influences, but tell us a little bit about your musical story. Like, where did music start for you? Did you find music? Or was it something that you were just, naturally drawn to? And what influenced your progression to the point where you decided you were going to become a member of a band?
Well, when I think a little bit about so I play bass in the 286, have done for the best part of 10 years, actually. So it has been, as you say, quite a long journey at this point. And they're continuing to put up with me, which is very good of them. When I think about sort of the kind of the journey, if you like, that I've been on, it's been sort of in some ways quite full circle. So one of my kind of earliest musical memories was in my hometown, outside London, a town called Sevenoaks, and it's not the most sort of storied gig that I've ever been to, but nonetheless it had an impact on me. It was a Pink Floyd tribute act called Think Floyd, and they were absolutely brilliant. And I remember watching the bass player playing a lot of these kind of Roger Waters bass lines, which are sort of straightforward but sort of elaborate, and there were kind of classical influences, and there are sort of all sorts of interesting kind of dissonant techniques that he uses. And I remember kind of watching this bass player and being kind of really, really transfixed by what he was doing. He was playing very faithfully. So it's one of my kind of earliest memories of kind of live music, which is so important to me, is seeing music live as a performative thing. Some of my earliest memories are kind of a proggy style of music, which is kind of not too dissimilar to what we do in the 286. One of the most recent songs that we brought out is kind of Pink Floydy, but it just so happens that kind of in between then and now, over the course of 20 or 25 years, I've been on a kind of odyssey through music that's maybe more kind of self-consciously rhythmic. So playing bass, like, inevitably I'm interested in kind of a lot of sort of funk and soul kind of music. I suppose the band that then kind of really accelerated my enjoyment of playing that particular instrument was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like it was for so many kind of kids at my school. We all tried to play those bass lines by Flea, which were now impossible, some of them, but we kind of kept going, Rage Against the Machine. And that led me down the path of kind of, you know, heavier rock bands, but also then kind of soulful bands and the kind of technique of James Jamerson, the kind of famous but often uncredited Motown bass player. So that kind of slightly more sort of melodic, complex style that he kind of used is something that kind of heavily inspired me and sort of I continue to take with me now in terms of what I try to bring to the 286. But it's also a little bit about obviously giving room to our string players who really are our kind of unique selling point in the band. So I try not to overplay, but Spencer might have other ideas as to whether I achieved that or not.
No. James is fantastic. James, as James said, Scott, James has been in the band for ages, and whilst he's quite right, the strings are important to our sound. I think actually our live sound, particularly James's bass, is really sort of forefront of what we're doing. He's got a real sort of nice, sort of like melodic style to his bass playing. So he's right. The strings are very important, but I think I like to think we all play our part in the overall band sound.
The overall machine, yeah. Thanks, Spence. That's kind of you.
So James, who are some of your prog bass influences? Like, and what are some of the things that you've taken from them that you're incorporating into the sound that you're bringing to the 286?
Funny enough, it wasn't long after I kind of got into that kind of Pink Floyd spiral that I found myself kind of getting sort of somewhat heavier with that. So it was actually then not long afterwards that I actually sort of migrated to kind of more of a sort of fandom of Led Zeppelin and so John Paul Jones and his kind of, again, it's a style that it's kind of on the one hand aggressive and punchy, but he was also able to be very melodic. He played all sorts of instruments and memorably the organ as well. So he was somebody who could really sort of hop around with great panache. And I suppose when I think about Pink Floyd, like I say, that was such an early kind of formative influence. It was not sort of necessarily that they led me in a kind of ever more proggy direction, but it sort of, they were my gateway to sort of getting and understanding the Beatles and what Paul McCartney was doing, particularly in that kind of mid-Beatles period, and obviously that interest kind of still lives with me and led me towards the 286. But also, again, you know, just to sort of look at how this kind of crosses the Atlantic a little bit, it was also bass players like Larry Graham from Sly and the Family Stone, known to many as the kind of father of slap bass, and some of the kind of psychedelic stuff that he was doing too, kind of somehow all kind of festered in that kind of teenage mind, and I suppose became part of what it is that I was playing then, and kind of how that shaped me in my own playing. Again, I don't know necessarily that you would listen to the 286's music and say, oh, that sounds like Sly and the Family Stone, but nonetheless, a little bit of that kind of psychedelia kind of infiltrated me and definitely inspired me.
Well, I mean, certainly, I think one of the greatest things about art is that typically there are very few artists who create in a vacuum. You know, very, very few people are able to just create something so dynamically new and revolutionary without other influence. But one of the beautiful parts about art is to be able to appreciate it and say, wait a minute, I'm listening to this and I hear something that sounds familiar, but with a new twist. And I think that's really the sign of an accomplished musician. So you're not replicating, you're kind of enhancing what's been done previously to make it your own.
Exactly. And the interesting thing as well, Scott, and we've had this before, I've had it plenty of time on social media, there are loads of people who are inevitably now 50 years on, 60 years on, that haven't heard of some of those bands that I was influenced by, for example. Just never heard of them. And maybe don't know maybe more than one or two songs by a band. So when they hear us, they don't come with that, I suppose, that prejudice or that that view of something beforehand, and they just come with it with a clean view of thinking, do I like this? Do I not like this? And it's really, really nice when you got people who've never heard anything from like the 60s or 70s or 80s, and they're like, yeah, I like this. This is fantastic, and that's great because that they're coming there with no prejudice at all, and in many ways that's as rewarding as coming across someone who's a big fan of that kind of genre.
Yeah, well, and absolutely. I mean, I go back to the idea that it's hard sometimes to accept something shockingly new and be comfortable with it, right? Because many people don't like change. But one of the things that I like about the 286 is, from the first time I ever heard you guys, it felt familiar without being something I'd heard.
Yeah.
You know, over here in the States, I like to call it, people like grilled cheese and tomato soup. I don't know what the two comfort foods are over there. Maybe it's a shepherd's pie. I don't know. But it's a comfort, like the music is comfortable, but also it's also brings me some enrichment because it's bringing me something new. And I've felt that way about you guys. I think that's one of the points that you've been able to carve out to build the fandom that you have is that specific reason. I think that's one of your successes.
No, that's very nice for you to say. It's as I said before, we don't go out to sound like anything but in particular. So it's really valuable when people actually rewarding, when people actually go, yeah, I like this, because it's so hard with any unsigned artist, right? To put your music out there and to instantly get people to go, oh, I like that. That's really hard because there's thousands of bands out there. I mean, you must come across thousands of bands, and you're fortunate in your world to come across some really good bands. But there's so many bands out there that are really, really good, but they never get the opportunity because they just don't connect with people. And it doesn't say they're bad or not, but if they don't connect with the right audience, then you've got no chance at all.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it's the sum of the parts, right? One of the things I did do this little homework because this is the second time we've had a conversation. We got to give people something new, Spencer, right? So I went back and was reviewing the last time we talked. And one of the things that we didn't do, which I think was a disservice a little bit, is how many people are in the band at this point? You've got a fair number of people in the band, don't you?
Yeah, roughly 286, I think. No,
It's the name.
So the bands are an odd one. We tend to have 7 people in the group is the answer to your question. But the nature of the group is the strings tend to be a bit of a carousel. So we have our usual violin player is a guy called Andrew, who when you come to see us, he was playing. And we tend to sort of rotate some of the strings just basically purely on availability. I mean, it's hard enough to get a 3-piece band together, right? So to get a 7-piece band and making sure they can all make it is hard enough. So, but all our songs, all the string parts are all scored. You see, they're all arranged. So you could get Billy in, or you could get Sally in, or whatever, and they can just come in and play the parts, right? So we're very fortunate that whilst it's a very complicated arrangements, if you get great players, they can just come in and just play.
And we think of it somewhat as a kind of collective, don't we? Whereby we have sort of different players that kind of make sense in certain contexts as well. So there'll be certain shows that really lend themselves well to sort of one of our viola players, and then other shows where we might sort of really bulk up on the cellos and say sort of, okay, here we are, we're gonna sort of go all out with a kind of lower end for this show. So it's about sort of, we found ourselves trying to curate as best we can a bit of a kind of, sound a bit pretentious, but a kind of community of sort of classical musicians, knowing that they all have different strengths, different kind of specialisms. We're lucky to have their classical brains coming at it as we do as kind of rock musicians, and to have as many of them as we possibly can kind of involved is the better. So if anybody's listening to this and they play classical music and they're a string player, we're always interested to get talents and get different kind of instruments in the band as best we can.
So then let's talk about the core of the band and the writing, right? How many is the entire band now kind of involved in the writing process? Is everyone contributing? And what are some of the things, because Spencer, we need to give everybody a little due, right? Let's talk a little bit about the other members of the band who aren't with us tonight, and talk a little bit about what they're bringing into the sound and the writing and the contributions. I think that's something that we didn't really get into last time.
No, we didn't last time. You're quite right.
Because it really is a collective.
It is. So generally how a song will start is I would tend to bring something in. I tend to sort of like demo something beforehand. And I've normally got to stop myself, because usually if I'm not careful, I could literally record a whole demo with everything on it, including the strings and everything. And I have to almost like stop myself doing that, because in truth, when I write something, I usually write something with strings in mind, just because that's the nature of the band, right? So you can't come up with a whole song and then think, oh right, I need to put some cellos in that, right? That should be something there. So when I tend to come up with either a hook or come up with a melody or something, I'm straight away thinking of, okay, well, what do the strings sound like in that? So I tend to do a demo which, if I'm arranging the strings, I don't always arrange the strings, but if I do arrange the strings, then I will tend to do something that's keyboard based, or guitar based, and actually come up with something which has got MIDI strings on it straight away, and with an idea. And then I tend to go away with the rest of the guys and go either, okay, here's just a demo with guitar or piano, or here's a demo with guitar, piano, and strings, and go on, find what you want to play on it, kind of thing. And they might say to me, what are you looking for, or that kind of stuff, and I go, you just say whatever. you decide, kind of thing. And then we get together for a rehearsal, and I might go away with Madeline on keys. I might go away with her and sit down with her, like I'm meeting up with her this week, and we're going to go through some of the new songs that we're working on at the moment, and just come up with some sort of synth sounds, sort of really sort of work that out, what that looks like, how we can overlay different sounds on that for a studio sound. And if someone else is arranging the strings, so for example, Andrew's working on a couple of songs that we're currently working on right now. He comes up with a draft. I might often meet up with him again, just acoustically, and just play the songs to him. And he goes, okay, what have you got, any ideas? And I might say yes, or I might say no. So it's organic, to the sense where I will go to them and say, here's what I've come up with. Come up with your own part, really. And that's kind of how it works. That's about roughly right, isn't it, James? Would you say?
I think so. I think that one of the things, Scott, that the more kind of we evolve as a band, the more that we realise that as a collective, as I termed it, we benefit sometimes from actually kind of breaking down into sort of smaller, almost working groups. So sometimes we will kind of rehearse and jam a little bit as a kind of rock band, which is sort of pretty much as it sounds. It's Spencer and me on guitar and vocals, and in my case bass, and our keyboard player Madeline, our drummer Tom, and that's a chance to sort of thrash things out, really kind of develop and explore interesting rhythms. We've been doing that, I think, about a song that we're working on right now called Take It or Leave It, which maybe people will get to hear hopefully before too long, which has benefited from kind of being jammed in a quite sort of free form way. And then when we get the strings together, which is sometimes a slightly different configuration of people, one of the great things is that they always kind of bring things that surprise you, because their training is so different to the way that Spencer and I have learnt music, and they kind of throw interesting little passages, interpretations that you kind of never expect at you, which is why it's great that, you know, as Spencer says, kind of as a live process right at the moment, Andrew's been sort of doing strings for a few new songs, which we hope to unleash on the world very, very soon. So as you see, sometimes it's not actually that we're sort of necessarily doing it all in one place at one time, but the sheer ability that we've got to sort of get together in slightly different groupings, which is something a little bit unique to us as a kind of 7-piece band, means that we get kind of different ways of riffing off each other, which we found to be generally quite sort of productive. And of course, the other thing to say is that songs evolve massively the more we play them. I've been playing these songs for years, Spencer for even longer, and kind of I know now that I play them differently to how I did when I first started playing them, just because you recognize that the audience responds to different things, basically, when you know, and different audiences like the same song in different ways. So I think we are quite a live band in that way, and you know, the same song might sound quite different rhythmically, tempo, just in the overall dynamics, depending on the venue that you hear it in too.
And doing drummer as well, James, right? That's the other thing. If with Tom as opposed to our former drummer Will, Tom will play things very differently from what Will would. So in that sense, you react to how he's playing as well, I think.
Yeah. Totally different emphases. Yeah. It's been great. It's refreshing.
Oh, and it'll be different when Bob plays it, or Joe too.
When Bob, I can't wait till Ben comes. Really, that's the one I'm looking forward to.
Is Take It or Leave It the song you're working on? Just out of curiosity, any type of tribute or homage to the Madness film from many years ago?
No. Sadly not, but it's a nice sort of song. It's kind of got like a 12-string acoustic kind of sort of riff going through. It's quite cool. And as James said, that one started. That's kind of one of those ones that you kind of have got to feel it, and you kind of like just keep playing through it. And I'm pretty sure if we recorded the very first version we did as a 4-piece to the one we're currently doing now, it's changed already. Do you know what I mean? So it does change because you just get more familiar with the song, the chords, the feel of the song. And it just moves from there.
Do you ever just try to germinate a song from a jam session with the band? I mean, do you guys, because James in his prog roots, I mean, he probably just wants to kind of like go on these long extended musical journeys and pick the pieces out. But do you ever do collaborative writing with the whole band as opposed to Spencer?
I don't think we've ever done that. We really, James? I can't recall a time we've really done that. I suppose because of the strings, we don't really ever do that, if I'm honest with you, Scott, purely because there's got to be...
We generally come with an idea and an underpinning.
That's right. We're definitely progressive, no doubt about it, because of what we're doing and the way we do it. But because we're incredibly structured in that sense, because you've got to, because of the way the strings are. They don't and they can't play freely because there's 3 of them playing in harmony, right? So if everyone jammed it out, it would sound like a bit of a mess, really. You can if you're a 3 or 4-piece, I think. I think it's a lot easier to do that.
I think it'd be a great thing to experiment with, but it does show that the way we approach it is sort of in some ways different to that of other bands in that we're quite a kind of technical entity, not least because we at all times are trying this kind of slightly fine negotiation between kind of string, sort of slightly more kind of academic approach traditionally, and then on the other hand the kind of free flowing rocky elements. And it's a little bit about sort of now, and I think the beauty is sometimes within the tension, but then also it's kind of about reconciling quite different elements. So it'd be fun to experiment in that way, definitely. Our classical musicians might say jam. Oh, that's what you put on toast. Okay.
Well, so since we'll end up doing this probably another year or so from now, right? Here's my challenge to you: is give that a try. If you've never seen Ben Folds improvise with an orchestra while in front of an audience, look it up on YouTube.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yes, ask yourself if you can accomplish that. Because it's accomplished in every band. And look, how many demos can Spencer really do on his own, right? It gets lonely creating by yourself. So Spencer, let the other members of the band in. They all have wonderful things to contribute. I mean, come on, let go a little bit, buddy.
Honestly, these dictators are terrible. Honestly, Scott, they're terrible.
So 2025 is going to be a pretty active year for you guys. Let's kind of move into what's coming. What's coming down the pipe for you guys?
Tim, do you want to just start things off? Yeah. I'll jump in if you want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you'll be able to tidy up my answer, I reckon. I think it's a really, really exciting year to be kind of looking ahead to, Scott, because I think we find ourselves with a little bit of a kind of a blank canvas in writing terms. I think in previous years we've found ourselves as a band sort of catching up a little bit with the kind of our own release schedule, where we've possibly said, okay, we've got to get these songs out, and we've had them floating around for a while, and we're just finessing them, making them as perfect as they can possibly be. We're marrying them up with videos, and we're doing all the good, promotional stuff that any band has got to do. But what I really I think I'm excited about as we kind of look ahead to this year is that as I mentioned a moment ago, we've got a few sort of pretty kind of germinal projects at the moment that are just sort of starting out, and they're still waiting to be jammed and developed. So a few songs, as Spencer was saying, some of which are being kind of arranged for strings kind of as we speak right now. And the aspiration is to get another, I guess, kind of EP, are we going to call it that, Spencer? Another kind of mid-length release out there, because as well, having said what I said, as well as some kind of new stuff that's still very much in development, and even to have given away one of the song names is perhaps getting a little bit ahead of myself. I might have dropped some embargoed material there, but as well as that, we do still have a few exciting things to release. What would you add to that, Spencer? Have I missed? We want to get that kind of EP out in the coming next couple of months. I think that was our plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right, James. So I think there's an element of we've got several songs already in the can, right? So there's a few songs ready to go out and be released this year straight away. So we're excited that we'll shortly be announcing that we've got another single coming out. Hopefully there'll be a mini CD, or whatever you want to call it, like a mini album, should I say, of material. Maybe even a cover in there. Maybe we're toying with that idea as well. So that'll be something that will be coming out at some point in the first half of 2025, hopefully by springtime. And then as James said, that we've got another half a dozen songs which we're working on right now of new material, which I'm quite excited about. Actually, they're nice songs. There's some good songs in there. They're all very, very different from each other, and that's why I quite like. I always think of bringing things, you don't want to keep repeating the same thing to a certain degree. So, so that should be the rest of the year will be hopefully, we've got some gigs coming out. We've got some gigs at the end of this month, and then into next month. So we hope to be able to, debut some of these songs pretty quickly, right? Basically, that's the target really. So we use those gigs as a target to drive forward and say, well, if we can get one or two done in the first one, and then 2 and 3 and 4 in the next one after that, that'd be a real good thing. Because it'd be nice to be able to, if we got 6 new songs and they're all 4 minutes long, you could nearly got half an hour set there, right? It's fantastic. So, it'd be exciting for us to bring some new material and just challenge ourselves with some new stuff, because it's always good to be on your toes.
And we're playing in some great new places as well. So for anyone who's kind of tuning in and they're kind of near us in London, there's a whole kind of host. This is thanks to Spencer as well. A whole host of new places that we as a band have actually never played before. There's a handful of new venues on the list this year, including at least kind of one pretty exciting one sort of over the summer, which we'll be able to give sort of more details away about in kind of due course. But yeah, a few new players, and that's so reinvigorating, to be trying new places and reaching new people. That's so much what I take from the band. There's so much joy in kind of reaching new places and just seeing new venues.
I love the fact that you're getting to play some more gigs this year and some other places. What are the plans to do more of like a formal either tour or a run of gigs, so that you're kind of playing out a distance around, hopefully not just in the UK, but maybe any chance of getting into Europe?
Oh, we'd love to. I'm sure I'll speak on behalf of James and the rest of the band. I think we'd love to tour the States, right? Let's be honest with you. It'd be fantastic. We've got a lot of fans over in the States and in Canada as well. And it'd be amazing to be able to do that. The biggest problem we got as a band, like most bands, right? It's that we're unassigned. It takes budget to be able to do that kind of stuff. And we're fortunate that we do live in London, right? So where you live in London, there's still a fairly decent music scene. It's not as good as it used to be, if I'm honest with you, but there's still venues out there, and you've got to look hard for the right ones, but there's still some there. Personally, what I would like to be doing, I'd be quite excited to doing some kind of like live stream gig as well. So, there's more to playing in front of a live audience is the ultimate thing. We all love doing that, but we've got to be, I suppose we'll also be cognizant of the fact that we've got fans all over the world, and it'd be nice to be able to play with them, interact with them as well through questions or whatever kind of thing. So that's something I'd like to do at some point. But yeah, to play in Europe, to play in the States. Oh God, it'd be fantastic, right? It'd be really, really good. It's just finding the budget, right? You know that, Scott.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. One of the things that really blows me away is you've had, from where I sit, really tremendous success, not being a signed band, not having big labels and big promotion around you. You have done really well with selling your merch around the world and gaining followers around the world. What's been the key to that success, do you think?
Well, first, before I answer that question, isn't it great that there are people around Michigan, or there's someone around in California just walking around with one of our t-shirts on, or one of our baseball caps on, or it's cold at the moment in the States, someone walking around with one of our beanie hats on. I think that's to me, that's astonishing that someone's doing that. So I find that really exciting. How do we do that? If I'm really honest with you, I think there's two key parts to being in a band these days. There's one thing writing good music. I think that's important. That's clearly number one. But I think given that social media now makes the world a smaller place, one of the most important things is actually to show your personality as well. And I think in many ways we sell the music and ourselves as much as we can. Selling is not the right word, probably. We just try to be ourselves, and people like that, I guess, really. And it's not really that we're trying. I'm not trying to be anything different from what I normally am, right? And same with the rest of the group. But I think I like talking to people. I'm a bit of a people person, I guess, really. And I just really like chatting to people. So if someone leaves a comment on one of our social media sites, I will just generate a conversation with them. And then I think it just gets to the point where people think, I've got a connection with this band, I'll buy their baseball caps. Something as simple as that. I mean, we've sold loads of stuff this year, and it's been really, really good. And it's just, to me, it's just another way of seeing, of really bouncing off people, which is just really, really sort of great.
And I think they really appreciate that kind of directness of interactivity, which and it's full credit to you, Spencer, for doing having so many kind of interesting conversations with our fans at any one time online, and we are so privileged to have fans not just in North America but all sorts of parts of Latin America as well, and Europe too. We found sort of fans everywhere, and I think they appreciate that authenticity that you're describing, Spencer. Whatever you're seeing on our social feeds have been made by us. That might sometimes be a piece of video, our album artwork, or it's the design of the merchandise. It's sort of made with our bare hands, because what you see is literally just the work of a handful of people. So keep talking to us, keep engaging. We're kind of here to have those conversations, and we're lucky to have them.
Well, I mean, and you're not just creating fans, you're creating somewhat rabid fans. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a post about someone at an ELO show who was trying to get close enough to the stage to throw their 286 hat onto the stage?
Yes, someone bought two 286 caps, baseball caps. He bought one for himself, and he bought the other one for Jeff Lynne. and he was at one of their concerts. I can't remember which one it was now. Which concert it was, but he bought the hat, and he put like a post-it note on it, and literally got the whole of the crowd. He wasn't near the front. He was about 30, 50 rows from the front. And he got people to pass it along to try to get it on the stage. And it got on the stage as well. That's the most amazing thing. But some security guy wasn't too keen on it, and eventually got kicked off and everything. But that's great, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? The whole of that crowd would have been part of something there, which was good fun.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great story. And then I've had an opportunity. I think I've met your biggest fan, kind of haphazardly, actually. But I spent 8.5 years living in San Antonio. I'm in the Dallas area now, but I got to spend some time with Ann McKinney, who loves. She is a huge music fan. She is a huge supporter of a lot of different acts. I know she's seen John Waite multiple times, Rick Springfield, and then out of nowhere, my Facebook friend is wearing a 286 baseball. I'm like, how is this? Like, how does she's in San Antonio. Now, let's put it into perspective for people who are watching from the UK. What is San Antonio known for? The Alamo. So I guess you have a UK connection because of Phil Collins' love for the Alamo. So, okay, I can buy that one. The river walk. So we've got, boats. And I mean, I seen boats when I was in London on the river. So I guess, they got something going on there. Then you've got Mexican food, which I'm just going to say when I been to the UK has not been the most robust dining experience of being in the UK.
I don't know what you mean.
And then you have Anne over here, who is your biggest supporter. She loves you guys. She really does.
Absolutely. And you got a picture with her, didn't you? You took a picture with her, didn't you?
Absolutely. And you guys have communicated. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about how you treat your audience and your fans.
Yeah, and it's not put on at all, Scott. I think the fact that people are prepared to actually go out their way to support us, share our material, buy our stuff. I feel very sort of honoured and grateful to those people. So the least you can do is reply to them or thank them or that kind of stuff. So it's a pleasure to do it. And Anne, if she's listening, she's a great girl. And hi Anne, hope you're well.
Some of the best gigs that we've ever had have been with in front of people who've come to see us from some of the most far-flung places, from Japan, from Argentina. I'm sure others that I'm kind of failing to remember, which is terrible of me. But it's just so gratifying and just a truly magical thing that speaks to how music connects people, he says in a cliched way. By the way, Scott, I once spent a very enjoyable day in San Antonio doing the Riverwalk, doing the Alamo, but the Mexican meal that I had was nothing compared to the Mexican restaurant downstairs of my flat here in London. So next time you're in London, I'll tell you where to go.
Obviously, I need to eat there because I always come to London for the great Mexican food. It's really what you guys are known for, and Mexican mushy peas are really a delicacy.
Battered mushy peas.
So, guys, I'm curious. You've built up this audience, and I think it's wonderful because everybody who watches us knows that I am a proponent of supporting artists, and obviously your fans are. Everybody, how I feel about the salad bar idea of sampling things at Spotify. Spencer's got somewhere between 5 members and 7 or 8 that giving him the day of the week that he's got to dole out some money to every now and then, and Spotify check just doesn't go far enough. So I think it's great that you support them by buying their music. They're going to have some new releases this year. Buy the songs on iTunes, buy them on Bandcamp, purchase them, enjoy them wherever you are, share that with other people and the joy of the music. That being said, guys, something, Spencer, that we've done since the last time you and I spoke that we really would love to do is share music. We think it's so important here. Music and art doesn't happen or shouldn't happen in a vacuum. And there are many artists that need to get recognition. Now, I realize James, obviously just looking at him, is probably a huge Swiftie. And it's okay, James, because I want to know some people that are your earworms right now that you're really enjoying listening to. But she gets a lot of publicity. She gets maybe too much publicity. So who are 2 or 3 bands that you're really enjoying, whether it's for relaxation or maybe for the gym or something like that, and there's something about that music that connects with you that you think would be great for other people to try and listen to and connect with as well?
Yeah, you're right. There has to be more out there than just Taylor Swift. Brilliant though she is. So, I mean, 2 that kind of come to mind for me, acts that have been really muscled into my playlists over the last few months. Number 1, a band that's gained kind of increasing traction here in the UK. Whether they've kind of broken into America yet, I'm not sure, but they certainly should. A band called English Teacher, which is a kind of indie post-punk revival act. They're a kind of very sort of acerbic sounding, high energy band from the north of England, a sort of relatively kind of conventional rock lineup, but with added cello, so you can kind of see how we in the 286 might kind of find a bit of an affinity with that, with these really mellifluous vocals by their singer Lily Fontaine. I was lucky enough to see them at a very small venue near me, just around the corner, a place called the Lexington in London, in Islington recently. It was just an absolutely brilliant gig, really kind of mesmeric. And then the other one, again, I kind of, another act to recommend to people is a singer from your side of the pond. His name is Jalen Ngonda. I saw him at Glastonbury last summer, and it's just one of those moments where all the kind of all the different kind of elements of a live music experience just come together perfectly. It's the kind of weather, it's the ambience, it's the kind of overall vibe of the audience. And this guy's just got the most fantastic soulful voice. It's really reminiscent of Marvin Gaye. A lot of his tunes are very, very sort of really kind of recall those kind of tracks from What's Going On, one of Marvin Gaye's kind of top albums. Really kind of charismatic, charming performer, which makes the live show all the more enjoyable. Hopefully he'll be touring London again soon. Jalen Ngonda is his name. Absolutely fantastic singer. I would recommend to anyone.
Absolutely. How about you, Spencer? Other than ELO and the Beatles, who are you listening to these days?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll throw a real curve one in there. One of my favourite songs of the last 3 or 4 months actually has been a song by Sabrina Carpenter, actually, which is Please, Please, Please. And there's a reason why that, because whilst it's clearly sort of properly sort of bubblegum pop kind of thing, it's a clever bubblegum pop song, because maybe the normal person who's maybe listened to it wouldn't really pick it up, but that song's got, firstly, it's got different key changes, which you never get. I mean, it's normally you listen to the charts, every single song's got 3 or 4 chords, right? And they're the same ones, kind of thing. Whereas that one's got key changes, and the end bit, like the outro before you get to the last chorus, that's pure. I mean, it actually almost sounds ELO. Actually, the chord changes are very, very mature. And I doubt she wrote it, but that's not the point. The point being is that it's good pop. Do you know what I mean? It might be bubblegum and it's for the kids kind of thing, but that doesn't matter, right? It doesn't have to be mind-numbingly the same as everything else. So I'm going to throw that one in there. But if I'm honest with you, I've actually I've reverted recently to something that's even older. I've been listening to a lot of Ray Charles of late, back in the 50s and the early 60s. So I can't get enough of Ray Charles at the moment. So I've had him on my playlist quite a lot recently.
Wow. One that I can't get out of my ears, and I go to the gym almost every day, and it's my workout routine at this point. And I was photographing about this time last year, I think it was, the band Nothing But Thieves, but their opener is what got me. Kid Capiche. Have you heard them?
No, not at all, no.
Oh, guys, you should listen. If you take like the energy and the writing of The Clash and mix it with the lyrical sensibility of Madness and mesh them together, you've got Kid Capiche. And they were supposed to come back to the States. They didn't. And now, hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll see them at Punk Rock Bowling in Las Vegas.
Pretty cool. Are they a 3-piece or 4-piece? What's the deal with them then?
The 4-piece. Yeah, 4-piece, I believe. I'd have to go back and check. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 4-piece. But it's just they've got the something. They figured out how to, again, take things that are familiar and put them together to make something new. So if you guys get a chance, check them out as well. They're really good, and I can't get enough of them. Guys, this has been great. I'm really excited that we got a chance to do this again. This is kind of, we're coming up on a year of doing these hangs. We try to be a little bit different. It's so loose. It's anything goes. Tonight we're drinking. Cheers again, gentlemen. This has been fabulous. I haven't been drinking as much lately. I guess it was a New Year's resolution, but you got me off the wagon, Spencer.
That's not worked well.
Congratulations.
It's not worked well, is it?
You're a bad influence, Spencer. You're a great musician. You're a bad influence. And it shows on James, so we get it. We see the
normally very good. Normally he's very good because he's driving the car to and from gigs, hauling around loads of amps. So we have to give him the odd beer, you know. We have to allow him that. No, it's been great, Scott. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Hopefully, I'll be making a trip over soon. If the planets align, I'll get a chance to come see you guys, take some more pictures, spend some time with you. James, we'll have to raise a pint at some point, but for sure, maybe sooner or later, we'll definitely get in the same place. Everybody, I hope you've had fun with us tonight. This has been really enjoyable. It's always great to catch up with bands that we've talked to before, see where they're going, see what's on the horizon, and talk about stuff we haven't talked about before, which is great about hanging, right? It's so great just to get with people, hang out, and get to know them. So, gentlemen, it's been fabulous. I look forward to all your success in 2025. Hopefully see you soon. Thanks so much for joining me and making time.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Goodbye,
Thanks for
everyone.
having us. Good to hang.
Thanks, everybody. Yep, bye-bye.